you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group, and it's time to stop doing what you hate. It is a fabulous day here in Honolulu, Hawaii. I don't know where you're listening to me from, but man, it's just such a beautiful day here, and I hope wherever you are listening to this, I hope it's a beautiful day for you as well. And as always, I'm super excited to be sharing today's show with you folks, but I'm also a little bit nervous, and I'll share with you why, because what I'm about to share with you, I think, is one of the major reasons why people can't get to where they really want to be financially in life. And so I want to talk to you about what I have deemed as the financial identity crisis. That's right. The financial identity crisis. It's so many people, they're having a hard time identifying in life right now with who they are, who they want to be, what it is that they should or should not be doing. It's just hard. And one of the things I heard the other day, and this is I never thought about it like this, but people love stability for the most part. And when they don't have stability in their lives, it can create an identity crisis. It can create some sort of confusion. So I want to get into today's show, identity crisis or financial identity crisis, and just kind of help shed some light on this. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's get it. All right. So there are so many financial strategies out there. I mean, it's enough to give you a headache, right? I'm going to just kind of go down the list and name some of them, but I'm going to start with this. You have to identify the level of wealth you want to have in your life. You have to identify that. You have to sit down and say, I want this much wealth in my life, and here's why I want this much wealth in my life. You can even say, I need this much wealth in my life, and here's why I need this much wealth in my life. And you can just start from there. Because until you identify the why, you're always going to be confused. So you're going to either be committed to obtaining what you just said you wanted, or you're going to be confused. And where there's confusion, there's a lot of bad things going on. The Bible talks about it. Where there is confusion, there's every evil work. Confusion is not a positive thing. It's never positive to be confused. Imagine this. How's your day? Oh man, I'm so confused, but you know what? It's just awesome because I'm confused. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know where the hell I'm going, but that's okay. I just want to be confused and just live in my confusion. Who says that? Nobody says anything like that, ever. But a lot of people are confused. They don't know what they want. They don't know how much wealth they need in their life. And that's why 95% of the people in this country, in the United States of America, 95% retire either broke or their retirement is inadequately funded. 95%. What's going on with the other 5%? Well, we're not going to talk about them today. But the 95%, I guarantee you, they have some kind of financial identity crisis. They just cannot get it together. So let's talk a little bit about some of the strategies out there that you folks have probably heard of. You probably heard me talk about some of them. And one of them I'll talk about is Bank on Yourself. That's a financial strategy out there. And I'm just going to give you some tidbits on what it is. Bank on Yourself is the system where, you become your own banker, and it's all designed and predicated on you not paying interest to an outside entity. And it's about you recapturing the interest you would have paid to an outside entity, and you're garnering the power of that interest, and you're building wealth for yourself. I'll admit, it is a very slow and tedious process to operate the bank on yourself system. It takes years, if not decades, and it's slow, it's methodical, and you have to be committed to that process, or else you're going to lose a lot of money in things like surrender charges and life insurance policies. Or you can get into the wrong kind of life insurance policy, or the life insurance policy could be set up the wrong way and it just be a horrible thing. And so that's a strategy. There's a lot of pros to the strategy. There's a lot of cons to the strategy. But if you start it, you got to be committed to it. There is the FIRE strategy, financially independent, retire early, something like that. That strategy is all predicated on pretty much paying off all your debt, living really meager, investing everything you have, paying off debt. And then hopefully by the time you're 40 or so, you can walk away with all your debt paid off and then have enough income coming in every month to kind of live, an okay life. Because I haven't heard them talking about living a substantially amazing life. It doesn't provide you enough to make a big difference in terms of giving, being philanthropic, because it's only predicated getting you out of your job and then having enough to kind of live a certain kind of life until the day you die. There's pros and cons to that. Some of the people, they retire very, very early, but then yet they don't really have, a purpose after that. They get bored, right? All this energy with no purpose and no direction because they've arrived, they've hit their stride, and that's it. But if you start something like that, you got to be committed to it 100%. Otherwise, you're going to be confused about what you're doing. There's the TARDIS methodology. TARDIS is one of those systems where you keep buying real estate and then you keep paying off one piece of property, then using the rental income to pay off the other piece of property. You're floating credit cards for a long period of time. You're using lines of credits and different things like that, all to end up paying off all the debt on the property so that now you have income for the rest of your life coming from real estate. That's a strategy, right? I know people who implement that strategy. They're happy with that strategy. A lot of times people are implementing strategies that line up with their belief systems. That's a big one. And here's the problem that I have with that. A lot of times when people sit down and set these things up, that's great. But here's where these things tend to fail every single time if they're not done properly. I guarantee you, I've seen it time and time again. When a problem arises financially that the strategy can't handle, it becomes a disaster. I'll give you an example. So many people want to send their kids off to college, but they're in a strategy such as paying off all their debt. Now they don't have money to send the kids to college, and so the kids can't go for whatever reason, primarily because they don't have money because it's sitting in the house. Or people put everything they can into their 401k because their primary objective is to retire. Something comes up financially, guess where the money is? It's sitting inside the 401k and they have access to it, but they are subject to limitations in regards to how much they can pull out. So the system, they either end up not fulfilling the obligation to help the kids go to college, or they crash the system, take the money, take the penalties, and pay for their education. I've seen this done time and time again when people come into my office and they are inadequately prepared to handle things that come up. Something comes up with the house. Something comes up with a health situation. Their financial strategy is incapable of handling it because they didn't think through all of these things. And I ask them every single time, well, what would happen here? Did you guys not think about this? And they say, no, we're not thinking about this at the time. Well, didn't your advisor help you think these things through? No, they never brought that stuff up. We were just trying to get this thing set up. And I said, whoa. It's like building a house, right? You go, you get the designs drawn, then you get the permit, then you hire the contractors, get the permit, whatever the process is, and then you begin to build, right? Based on the blueprint. That's how that all goes. And you think about everything that can happen to that house, right? Fire, hurricanes, floods, all of that. You take all of that into consideration when you're building your financial system or you're adopting a financial strategy. And a lot of times people don't do that. Another reason why I see their financial strategies fail is because they went into this thing looking for what I call the magic bullet, right? Oh my God, this thing sounds so awesome. Oh my God, this is going to solve all my problems. Boom, right? The magic bullet. And the problem with the magic bullet is there's always a better magic bullet around the corner. I call that the next best thing syndrome. There are people out there that are always looking for the next best thing. And that's why I'm so careful with my Rapid Retire program, not to pump it up and hype it up so much that I get people so excited about the thought of retiring early. And I get people to fall in love with the idea of retiring early. Because after a while, that stuff fades, man. Motivation fades. Motivation is not long lasting. Motivation fades, and you're going to have to constantly be pumped up and pumped up and pumped up again. And that's what I ran into before with clients. I would have to constantly encourage them, constantly just kind of like hold their hand. It's going to be okay. We can do this constantly, because motivation from the very beginning was not lasting. And so when you're in these kinds of systems, you have to watch out for that. You have to make sure you're not just hopping from one bandwagon to another, looking for the next best thing. And another reason why I see these strategies fail is because people, they go where their friends recommend it. I mean, this is a crazy thing, but people can be influenced all the time. I see it all the time. Why did you start this strategy? Well, my friend Johnny, he said it was awesome and Johnny was doing it and Johnny was having success. Well, how long was Johnny doing it? 3 weeks? A month? A year? 10 years? Shoot. You don't just jump on something because Johnny's doing it, right? It has to make sense to you and your family, and it has to cover all of your objectives and your goals, because you have to sit down and understand what your financial identity is. Otherwise, you're going to have that financial identity crisis. And that's why people have these, what they call midlife crisis. I mean, I've seen some of that. That's where people just go blow up stuff because they've been sacrificing for 30 years. And all of a sudden they go do something crazy financially. You have to have these kind of heart desires and things like that built into your plan so that you don't feel cheated. You don't feel like you've been sacrificing and struggling and waiting for the magic day where, when this day comes, boom, I'm going to do this, right? When this day comes, boom, I'm going to do that. Sometimes you get kind of disillusioned along the way and you begin to fall into these identity crises. You have to learn how to enjoy life every single day while yet planning responsibly and acting responsibly for tomorrow. You got to enjoy life today, right? You want to travel, build the stuff into your strategy. Make sure your strategy can handle all the things that you are desiring based on your financial identity. Because either you're going to be committed to it or you are going to be confused. And when you're confused, that's when you are prone to making the most horrible financial decisions you can ever imagine. So how do you beat this stuff? Number one, sit down and map out and commit to what your financial identity is. If you want to be wealthy, then set that strategy up, commit to it, and be on your way, right? Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Don't look at the next best thing that comes out. Oh, crypto's hot. I better jump on crypto. This is hot. I better jump on that. No. If that is your strategy, yes. But if you're like dabbling and, fooling around, you could be wasting momentum, right? Because breakthrough comes when you have been committed to something and committed to something and committed to it. And boom, all of a sudden, boom, it's almost like magic happens, right? It's not magic. You have just been committed and dedicated to your process. And that's what I love about my Rapid Retire system. It is a process. And what it does is it weeds out the people that are looking for the magic bullet, because they won't commit to everything that they need to do in the program, right? They'll do some of the stuff some of the time, but they won't do all of the stuff all of the time. And that's why we have problems. And that's why it doesn't work. And then it's Rapid Retire doesn't work. Oh my God, it's not for me. Because people don't understand that sometimes their needs and their desires can change. And when you find that happening, you have to sit down and revamp your strategy, right? Sometimes you have to change strategy, and that's okay. But you don't just change it because, things aren't going your way here and there, right? It has to be something fundamentally wrong with the program before you just up and change it because you're looking for the next best thing. Sit down and understand and just trust me, it's going to work, right? Map out your financial identity. And some people, they'll challenge me and say, well, Harold, God doesn't want me to be rich. I'm like, well, that's on you, right? That's like me saying I have a key to turn the door, to unlock the door and get in the car and turn the ignition and drive it. And me saying something stupid like, oh, God doesn't want me driving this car. I mean, you got the keys. I mean, that's on you. And I tell people that all the time. Don't say stuff like that. God doesn't want me rich. All because you can't figure out how to make it happen. All because you don't understand what you need to do to commit to a process, right? It's not on God. It's on you. It's on me, right? He says, beloved, I wish above all things that you be in good health and prosper, even as your soul prospers, right? Be in good health and prosper, even as your soul prospers. He wants you prospering in all areas, mind, will, emotion, financially, every single area. But if you're confused and you're having that identity crisis, then yeah, it's going to be hard to believe something like that. I find people making those excuses all the time because they're unwilling to commit. Either you're going to commit or you are going to be confused. So here's what I'm going to offer you today. And same thing I always offer, an opportunity to sit down with me and talk to me. Click in the show notes, get on my schedule, and let's map out what your financial identity is going to be. And then let's develop a plan of action and let's commit to that. And let's make it happen. And let's win, because too many people are losing. It's time to win. So thank you very much for allowing me to share this show with you today. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.